Lou Elizondo makes a public apology on his YouTube channel, you guys. Stay to the end. We're going to react to this, and I'll give you my thoughts and my opinions at the end. You guys, like, subscribe, share with your friends.
Hi, folks. Lou Elizondo here. I thought I'd take a few minutes and talk to you folks about a interesting week we had on Capitol Hill. For the most part, I think by and large it was very successful, but I do want to address something. During part of this forum that we had on Capitol Hill, right before we started, I was provided a photograph from a private pilot who had asked me, he was concerned that there was no real reporting mechanism. And we've known there's no real civilian reporting mechanism for private pilots to report UAP. And he took a few moments and explained to me what he saw surrounding this photograph. And so I made the command decision right there and then that I would use that photograph as an example of why we need some sort of civilian reporting system for our civilian pilots. Now that the military is taking this topic seriously, we still have this big gap between civilian aviation and military aviation. And so I made the determination right there and then to go ahead and use that photograph as an example. And looking back now that people have reacted the way they have, I just want to make it clear. I did say several times the photograph has not been vetted, and quite frankly, I did not have the time at that moment to vet it myself. But I did think it was interesting and important enough to at least use it as an example why we need civilian reporting. And unfortunately, I think that message got confused. Now, it's possible I did not communicate it effectively, and if that's the case, I accept full responsibility. But I think it's important for you all to know that the intent of that was not to say, hey, look, this is a UFO. I never said that. It was to say, look, here's an example of a photograph taken by a private pilot who doesn't know what it is. And what he described to me, I took at face value that he was telling me the truth, and I still believe that individual was telling me the truth. And I think we need to be careful when we come out and we take a photograph, again, that had already been told, had not been vetted, right? So I said, look, folks, it hasn't been vetted. I just received it that morning. There was a lot going on. I made the decision to share that. And I made that decision because I thought it would be helpful in the conversation. Clearly, looking back now, it's not. It was a distraction to everything that a lot of people, a lot of hard work by a lot of people did to put this forum on for you, the American people, you, not me. I don't need it. It's for you. And I sincerely apologize that this photograph became a distraction and became the one thing people are now talking about when there was really so much more there, really important things. We had folks like Mike Gold talking perspectives of NASA and Anna talking about business and NSF, the National Science Foundation. We had Chris Mellon and Admiral Gallaudet and all these wonderful people, Dr. Eric Davis, telling you information that I thought was very, very important, and also the members of Congress. And so, once again, I hope that this does not become an unnecessary distraction. I feel that it is, and if it makes people feel better, I will accept full responsibility. But it wasn't intended to fool anybody or say, hey, look, here's a picture of a real UFO. It's like, hey, here's a real photo taken by a pilot who is confused, who doesn't know where to report things, and what he actually thought he saw, he believed. And so rather than ridiculing that, I think, it'd be a lot more helpful and beneficial if we could have a conversation about it instead of a fist fight about it. We always seem to have these fist fights in the UFO community with these weird knee-jerk reactions. And I'm telling you, it's not helpful for people who want to come out and tell the truth. If they're worried about being lambasted or their photograph or their quote-unquote evidence being ripped to pieces, instead of looking at it constructively and saying, hey, look, we don't think this is, the photograph doesn't show anything anomalous, it shows X, Y, Z, that's fine. But the person who shared that photograph with me right now is very upset and very concerned. And, I hope in the future we can take a breath for a moment and try to treat each other a little bit more kindly, okay? This is tough work. A lot of effort's been put into this. And Congress is going out on a limb and taking a big risk as well doing this. And if there are hiccups happen, guys. And I apologize. And again, I will accept full responsibility like I always do. It was not intentional. It wasn't intended to mislead anybody. It's intended to drive home a point that there is a pilot out there, and many of them just like him, who have nowhere to report UAP information. And that was the whole point of that photograph. And I actually took the time, the moment I received it, I made a judgment call right there. You know what? I think this is important enough to help drive the point home, whether it's a crop circle, a tennis shoe, or a real UAP. The point is that there are thousands of people out there that are in desperate need of some sort of resolution. And so I was trying to use that photograph to drive that point home. Now, obviously, if that did not get communicated, that's my fault and that's my issue, and I will absolutely own that, as I do every one of my mistakes. But let's not forget, guys, there's a lot of good stuff that was said in that meeting by a lot of people other than myself. And that's really what I think you need to take home from this. We've got a long way to go in this conversation. And again, people have been working very, very hard to do this. None of us have been paid to do this. We're doing it out of our own time, spending our own money, traveling long distances, disrupting our families to do this. And so I just ask you to please just take a breath for a moment and give people a break sometimes. Nothing is done maliciously to confuse you or try to derail disclosure. If anything, if there's one thing you should know about me, man, is I will do and just about anything for disclosure to happen. So with that said, folks, I hope we can continue to move forward, not allow this to be a major distraction. If it makes you feel better to blame me, then by all means do it. But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, because a lot of folks gave a lot in that meeting for you to have access to information that they didn't need to do. They didn't have to do it. I certainly didn't have to do it, nor did anybody else. So with that said, I just hope that, if you want to get mad at anybody, makes you feel better, get mad at me. But a lot happened, and I thought it was a rather very, very important forum. And I hope you would agree that forums like that in the future need to happen for greater transparency. Now, it's also, very, very possible we could have turned around and just recorded everything and not live streamed it and go ahead and edit it later, and you would never know. But part of transparency is being truthful and honest with everybody and letting people see for everything as it is. So I made a call to go ahead and show that photograph because I thought it was important enough that it would help drive home the point that we need a reporting mechanism for our civilian pilots. If I fail to achieve that, I sincerely apologize, and that is my responsibility and only my responsibility. So with that said, I hope you all have a good day.
So, listening to Lou Elizondo's apology, I've gotten a lot of messages, I've seen a lot of forums, and there's so many people out there that just thinks that he is a disinformation agent. Allegedly. That's other people saying this. I'm not saying that. I'm not here to judge him or prosecute him or anything like that. I know a lot of people feel a certain way. I've seen videos of Lou Elizondo say some things, which I'm not going to repeat here. But I get the point that he's trying to get across, right? I mean, and he's not wrong. His point that he's trying to make is a valid point. It is. Anybody that says it isn't is wrong. It's a valid point. Our pilots need a place where they can report these types of activities. So in defense of Lou Elizondo, I do agree with him on that. One thing I disagree with them on, though, is the photo that he used to try to push that narrative, which is a valid narrative to push. That photo was not a good example of pushing any kind of point home, unless he was trying to push some false narrative on people, which I don't know if he is or isn't. You know what I mean? I wasn't there. I don't know Lou Elizondo. I don't know anything. I'm just giving you my thoughts. This is a reaction video, and I'm giving you my opinions. I'm not here to prosecute him or say he's this or that. But I do think he could have used a different photo, and or if it wasn't vetted, I kind of feel like maybe a better approach would have been, when you put it up, make an announcement to the people and say, look, this is just an example. This has not been vetted or anything like that, and then explain his perspective on what he's trying to get across to the people. That's what I think. He didn't do that, and now everybody is coming after him, and they're not happy. They have very negative opinions, and this isn't the first time this has happened with Lou Elizondo either. He's I don't want to say a habit, but he's done this a few times where he's had some photos that weren't vetted. They turned out to be fakes. The last one he thought was real and it wasn't. So I don't know. I don't want to prosecute the man. I just hope people can not be mean, because I don't think he deserves it for people to be mean or attack anybody or anything. And I hope everybody kind of chills out, But I want to know what you guys think down below. You let me know what you think. I'm not deciding either way. I'm just giving you my thoughts and my opinions on how it should have been handled. And I kind of feel like he didn't handle it appropriately, But he has come out and apologized a few times. So it was yesterday and the day before he put out that statement on X, and then he did this today. So, what do you guys think? Leave your comments down below. Give me your thoughts, impressions. Do you think he handled it well, not well? How do you think he should have handled it? Anyways, you guys, like, subscribe, share with your friends. Comment. Peace out.